The defense has rested its case in Hunter Biden's federal gun trial in Delaware without having Hunter Biden take the stand. The judge is now reading jury instructions. As a reminder, Hunter Biden is accused of illegally purchasing and possessing a gun while abusing or being addicted to drugs. He has pleaded not guilty to the 3 charges. The defense has argued there's no direct evidence Hunter was using the drugs during the month that he purchased the gun. On the other side, prosecutors are pointing to his memoir, his text messages, and pictures, arguing that his addiction was evident.
This morning, the prosecution called back FBI agent Erica Jensen to discuss text messages about purchasing drugs at a 7-Eleven. For context, Hunter Biden sent 2 texts about using or buying drugs in October 2018. At the time, he purchased the gun. One of the messages said he was meeting a dealer at a 7-Eleven. Agent Jensen testified that she did not have location data to prove Hunter Biden was at 7-Eleven, even though Hunter texted, quote, "Meet me at 7-Eleven at 3. Legal analyst and Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley said bringing Jensen back to the stand was, quote, "a great move that allows the government to reframe before going to closing arguments." This prosecution team performed superbly in a case with arguably the worst possible jury pool. Meanwhile, MSNBC had their own thoughts about the jury pool. Let's take a listen.
You could talk a little bit more about this. It seems to me that it would be very hard to find a jury that has been untouched by addiction completely.
Yeah, and the reason that I wanted to come forward and write about this is because even though I've been sober since I was a teenager, I felt that the disease that Hunter Biden has is the same disease that I have, is the same disease that, almost 20% of the country has. And, Republicans do love to talk about fentanyl coming over the border. There's a reason that drugs are a problem in this country, and it's largely because of addiction.
And once jury instructions are over, the court will then have closing arguments before the jury begins deliberating. So, sounds like saying his addiction was present is a bit of an understatement. Of course, if you're someone with this disease, with an addictive personality, it's always present. Even if you are sober, it's something that you're fighting. It's considered, a psychological condition. And so him buying drugs, I think, would suggest that it was active. He was taking them.
And look, I appreciate what Molly Jong-Fast is saying there in that clip, that everyone knows someone who struggled with addiction. It's a very real thing. It's a medical condition. It's hard to watch people who need help get it and then relapse and all those kinds of things. And I don't want to criminalize addiction at all. I want to show sympathy to someone in that position. But drugs are illegal. His dad is and I don't think they should be. I want to handle these things from a medical perspective, not a criminal justice perspective. But Joe Biden has not. It's like, is Hunter Biden the only person who's going to get leniency? There are so many drug-addicted people who do collide with the criminal justice system under policies supported by his father, right? He hasn't done anything to even the declassification of marijuana as the highest level controlled substance is something Biden dragged his feet on. So it's like, well, are the rich and powerful and politically connected going to get a kind of leniency that no one else does? I don't want things to be harder for Hunter Biden, and I hope he's doing better now. And I think guns, you should be able to purchase a gun too. But you gotta, the rules can't be. It can't be that the only person who gets an exception is the president's son.
What's
right?
the argument there that a very expensive lawyer that can only be someone rich people afford would do a better job at voir dire, at jury selection, and get a better jury than this?
I don't know. You put a wrong. You fill out a form wrong. Does the IRS forgive you? Do they just go, oh, that's fine? No. The people in these circumstances get the book thrown at them.
Yep.
And Hunter Biden, and I don't think this is a major political issue. If you want to argue to me this prosecution is unnecessary, I'm not even sure I would disagree. What we cared about from a public policy standpoint was whether Hunter Biden was using his proximity to his father to lobby on behalf of the Chinese, the Ukrainian energy company. The idea that the business meetings that Joe Biden said he didn't participate in, even though we knew that he did call into one where business associates were present. He said he didn't meet one of the figures. Well, he actually did meet him at a restaurant. I don't think, there's no evidence Joe Biden was complicit in this or was trying to be dragged into this. There is some evidence Hunter Biden was trying to drag him into this, was trying to trade on his father's name, and whether that violates the law or motivated U.S. policy is what we really care about. This feels like a side issue to me, almost like they're really concentrating on this one because this doesn't imperil Joe Biden at all and doesn't really impact, is not significant, and that's why we're focused on it. And that's why they tried to get that sweetheart deal that would have shielded him from future prosecution or investigation on the more serious issues. So I have a lot of questions about all that. I don't really, do I think Hunter should face serious penalties for having tried to purchase a gun at a time when he wasn't legally supposed to do so because of his addiction issues? No, I don't think that matters very much. No, and I think everyone in that circumstance should frankly deserve some leniency, not just him, but everyone.
Right, and this was, of course, the exact crime that he thought he was going to have immunity, wouldn't be prosecuted over, allegedly purchasing a gun at a time when he was under the influence of drugs.
Right.
And the judge was like, wait a minute, like, why did you guys agree to this? This is a little bit ridiculous. Everyone in the courtroom that day was a bit odd, like no one was on the same page about what the deal was, and it was almost shocking that this deal was put on the table at all, because this is something very serious. There are a lot of people that are in prison across the United States for this exact crime. And so to think about Hunter Biden and the jury selection, that there should be some kind of selection of a jury pool of people who are not touched by addiction, I think there are good points to be made by that's exactly what a jury's for. Sure, 20% of the jury pool should be touched by addiction if that's representative of the district of the country. I think that makes perfect sense because what a jury does is it humanizes the person that's on trial, which is necessary because law and justice are not the same. And I think many people look at the laws around, purchasing firearms in the United States, using drugs in the United States, that addiction's a sickness that's unnecessarily criminalized. So it's good that we have a jury pool that would theoretically think about a person as a human being and apply the law in the context of our society. But nevertheless, they're still going to be instructed to apply the law in this case. And with these text messages, it does seem like Biden was under possession.
Right, and it's also interesting that they've used part of the prosecution's evidence is material from the Hunter Biden laptop, which, that is a public policy aspect of it because for so long it was claimed by members of the media, by Hunter Biden, by Joe Biden. Joe Biden dismissed laptop-related questions when he debated Trump by saying, well, the experts say it's Russian-based misinformation. We know that's not true. We know the contents are genuine, that there was a tremendous, absolutely media malfeasance campaign to get you to doubt that was a real story. The implications of it were, you could dispute them. You could say, what does it really matter? But you were instructed by the national security experts in the mainstream media to discount anything on there as some kind of is a made-up thing. We know that was totally roundly false. The evidence is being introduced in trial because they're real pictures, they're real messages, all that kind of thing. So that's a interesting aspect of this.
Yeah, a classic case of a boy not deleting text on his phone but leaving the iMessage on the laptop.
Oh,
or the iPad.
Is that what gets you in trouble?
Being found guilty. Usually cheating. Usually it's not criminal charges, but yes.
Well, in this case, it was both. More Rising right after this.